Hello, Yvonne Gaybauer here with my therapy room. And this is going to be the first card I'm going to show you in my card series. Now, I've gathered a few supplies here just to kind of show you the basics of what I start with. So, what I usually do, I've just got some cardstock. You can get this on sale at Michael's all the time. You can get different colors. I prefer the neutral backgrounds, but that's not to say that I also have not used the colors, and I have. I've got all sorts of colors of cardstock that I will also use on my cards. So what I usually do is just simply cut the 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper either in half this way or in half this way, depending on how I want the fold of the card. So for instance, let me just see if I can grab my cards I have made here. So you've got the fold that comes like that, but then you can also tilt that same card and open it this way, right? Now, if you cut it the long way, let me see if I can find one. I know I've got a couple that I've made. Oops. Here with the napkin ones. So you can open it this way too, but then you can also turn this and open it that way. So you've got lots of options for cards, right? I mean, you can cut it in half so it opens like this, or the long way, like this or like this. So however you want the orientation of your card, totally up to you. They all work. They all work just fine. Now I've just chosen, get my cutter out of the way, just an off-white or kind of a whitish gray card background here. And whenever I fold it, I like to take my bone, I like a crisp fold. If you don't have a bone folder, not a huge deal. Grab a credit card, that works. Grab a ruler, grab whatever you've got, right, to make that crisp line. Now, some of the things that I pulled out today to use are, now here's some of my smaller, just gonna grab some off the top here, Gelli Prints. So these, although they're not really big enough for a art journal page, would make a beautiful card front. You could doodle on that, you can add embellishments to that, a sentiment, whatever. Here's some, these were some of the roll-offs from stencils and stuff that I just put on a piece of napkin, right? So I mean, you could put that on the front of a card. Wouldn't that make a beautiful card? Maybe we'll do one with that. Here's a roll-off. So this is just what I use to clean off my brayer. But I mean, check that out. Isn't that gorgeous? Like, I just love that. And there's enough pieces of this that I could easily fill in the edges. And in fact, there's enough really funky designs on here that I could get a few cards out of this one strip of roll-off paper. Here's where I used the last of a texture paste that I had mixed up. Again, put that on the front of a card. How cute, you've already got your texture. There's some color there to start with. The ideas are endless. I mean, honestly, you can grab whatever you've got. I love my roll-off sheets. Sometimes those make the most beautiful colors. Look at how rich that looks, right? Look at the depth of color on that one. It makes such a pretty background. And then, of course, you've got your actual prints. So these were just done on Reader's Digest pages. But how cool, right? Anyways, I'm just going to grab those few. Actually, I think that I might work with either one of those. So I'm just going to put that aside. Another thing that I have and that I've used is, I'm just going to zoom back out again here so you can kind of get... Now this is a bag full of silk flowers from the dollar store. Now, honestly, I would buy these things, I would find a flower that I would like, I came home and I would rip those suckers apart. I would take the leaves off, I'd take the flowers off, I would take everything off of those dollar store flowers. And so I've just grabbed a few of them and just put them in, even these big ones. And in fact, I'm going to do a card with one of these big ones today to show you. But here's all the little ones. But I mean, just take a look at all of the combinations you can do here. I mean, here I've taken a flower apart and I could easily layer these into whatever color combination I wanted, right? I mean, check that out. So yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit with supplies from the dollar store, right? And you don't have to have the Prima flowers. These work just fine. And look at it, it's even got the funky little center in it already. Not all of them have centers you can use. Like, I don't know if I would use that little, you know what, I might. That little plastic one there, it might be fine. I'd have to get it on a card and see. And then my handy dandy little treasure trunk of all my bits and pieces. So again, a lot of these can be used. I mean, you know, something like this could go on that, right? Check, that's cute, isn't it? Here's another stamp. I keep stamps from different places that I've received Happy Mail from, right? Here's a piece of washi tape that was on the outside of an envelope that was been painted. I took that envelope and I cut it apart because I wanted to keep all of those colors. So I'm just going to set this stuff aside for now. And I think I've already got kind of an idea of what I want to do. And I think I want to use this one right here as my card base. So what I'm going to do is just grab my Mod Podge. For something like this, I use my Mod Podge. I don't use my expensive gel medium when I'm just going to adhere something like this. You can use glue, you can use a tape runner, whatever you want to do will work just fine. Now I'm just going to grab one of my ucky little brushes that I use for gel medium because it's already all crusty. And I'm going to pause just for a second here. Okay, I'm just going to zoom in, but I'm just going to grab a piece of wax paper because I don't want, check out all the funky colors that are starting to, pretty cool. Anyways, I just don't want the inside of my card to get stuck together. So my in frame there, you betcha. Okay, so I'm just going to apply some Mod Podge to the back of the card. First of all, hopefully I'm not going over top. I'm up at my cabin this weekend, so my lighting isn't the greatest up here, but you know what, it works. And I'm not going to be too worried about getting this exactly squared on here because I'm going to trim around the edges anyway, so I'm just going to kind of slide and put it on. And then just grab a hold and get down any of the little pieces that aren't sticking on the edges there. I'm actually going to put a coat of Mod Podge over the top. And then that'll just seal in anything that I've got on the top here. Seal this print on so that it doesn't go anywhere and doesn't get mixed in with anything else I might put on top of this. I kind of have an idea. I think I want to use that big red flower up in the corner. Oh, this is going really wrinkly with the Mod Podge. Maybe I put too much on. That's okay. I'm definitely going to have texture on this one. Okay, so you don't need to see me adhere. I think you pretty much know how to do that part. So I'm going to pause this, dry it up, and then I will come back. Okay, so I've got it adhered on. I'm not going to throw this away because I can use that again. So I'm just going to trim it down and put it back into my little bucket of goodies. Isn't that awesome? I mean, that's a card front right there as far as I'm concerned. Put a sentiment on it, done. I mean, if you wanted, you could doodle around some of this stuff, bring out some of it. I really want to use this red flower though. I think that is just beautiful. I love that. I love that. So, tip, when I used to rip these flowers off, I always kept these pieces on the back of the flower along with the center of it. And I did that for a couple of reasons. Number one, it held this flower together so that it didn't all come apart and end up in that abyss of a bag that I have there. And that's not where I stored them. I actually just did a huge purge of my studio, and that bag of flowers that I've got there is actually going to be Probably put on one of our local garage sale sites. But anyways, before I adhere it to a card, I just take these backs, I rip this part off, throw it away because I'm not going to use that, and then I simply come in and I cut this down as close to the flower as I can get it, so that now if I want to adhere this flower to something, it's going to lay flat for me. Now, I don't mind making bulky flowers. If you didn't want the bulk, you could take the middle of that out, put a brad in there, a different flower center, whatever. I love the look of that, so I'm actually going to leave it there. But what I am going to do is I'm going to glue these 3 pieces together. So I'm just going to grab my Fabri-Tac or whatever glue you like to use, and I'm just going to put a dab. If I can get it going, there we go. So I'm going to go around the center there and put these 2 together, lining up my little holes. And then I'm going to put quite a generous gob of glue right in here, because I want this to stay put once I get it back together and through that little hole. So that's just, I'm just trying to put it back through, trying to ease this back into that little hole so it kind of all stays in one piece. And my little glue strings, God, I love it. It's like using a glue gun, right? And I'm just going to adhere that flower right there. Now, looking at this, I'm trying to decide, do I want to do something else with that center instead of that? Because it is going to make a pretty bulky card. I'm going to move that out of the way for just a minute. I've got some dry time there. You see these glues? I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if it's focusing in. But they keep oozing out after you. So I always take a toothpick. I always have a toothpick handy. I stick that in the top of it so it quits oozing until that air bubble disappears. Okay, I'm going to shut the video off while I dump this into my tin, because I don't want to have to dig around in there. So I'm going to shut this off so you're not being bombarded by this sound it's going to make. Okay, so my little treasure chest of, now I don't know if I think I did mention it already about the, these are just pieces off of barrettes from the dollar store. Quite honestly, that's all it is. Go down the hair accessory aisle at the dollar store, and these were on, all of these things were on barrettes or bobby pins or whatever, and I just tore them all off. I mean, look at that. Gorgeous, eh? So much yumminess. So much yumminess. Okay, so I think I actually took that center off before it did adhere down to my card. I'm going to have to just glue those. This one little flower is bent over a little bit, so I'm going to have to put just a dab of glue behind it to hold her down. There. Put my toothpick back in my glue so it quits oozing out. There. Okay, so we can put a little center in. Yeah, see, that looks pretty, doesn't it? I like that. We could do a little center like that. We could put a green one in. We wouldn't have to go with clear. Nope, do not like the green. We can go with a big, ooh, that looks very pretty. That would work. That would work. I've got kind of a champagne colored one. Oh, I think I like that better if I'm going to use that. I think I like that better. I've also got something like that. Oh, that's pretty. It kind of ties in with the black. Ooh, I like that. Then I've got this button that I've just torn the shank off of. Yeah, no, it doesn't have the punch. I almost think I like that. It kind of ties in with the shapes in the background of the card as opposed to that big blob of bling, I'm thinking. Okay, what do you think? Do you think? I think I'm liking that. Isn't that awesome though? I mean, check this card out, right? How easy was this? How easy. You don't need a ton of supplies to make a card. Now, of course, I never brought any of my stamps along, so I'm going to have to put a sentiment on this when I get home. And quite often, quite honestly, sometimes when I make cards, and quite often when I make cards, I'll just do the card and I won't decide right away what card it's going to be. Unless, of course, I'm making it for somebody right away. I will leave it blank. That way, if all of a sudden I need a card for something, I can go to my stamps and I can just grab a sympathy, I can grab a birthday, I can grab a hey, how are you, a get well, a whatever I want. I'm just going to try to straighten these edges out. I actually love how this wrinkled. You probably can't see that on the camera, but as it dried, it kind of wrinkled up. I don't know if you can see that. But I love the texture that that created on the card. I'm a texture girl. I like to be able to run my hands over the things that I've created. I'm very much like that. Isn't that gorgeous? I love that. I mean, look at how simple that was. It's that simple, seriously. Now, I'm thinking I want to edge just to bring that in. Now, there's a ton of different things you can use to edge. You can use a stamp pad, you can use a pip pen, you can use paint, you can use Inktense blocks. There is a never-ending. So I'm actually going to see if I can just go around this with, and you don't have to have these texture tools either. Quite honestly, when I did these up, and I will show you, you can buy the little finger daubers. Don't have to. I will show you, and we will actually use this. I took a makeup sponge and I cut it down into a couple of different. I'm one of these OCD people. I'm going to admit it right off the bat. I have little bags for each one of my distress ink pads. I'm not gonna lie, putting it out there right now. So anyways, I'm just gonna grab, I'm not even gonna use my texture tool. You can, you don't have to. Makeup sponge. I'm just gonna grab that, ink it up, and come around my edges. Now, whenever I get to a corner, I always come in a little bit and make the corner darker. Because to me, in my head, a corner always has more shadow than a straight edge does. That's kind of my way of thinking whenever I'm inking the edges of something. But already you can see how that's making a difference. So again, I'm going to come in quite. And this Distress ink pad may not be the best thing for on top of this because it is a, I guess it's staying. I was going to say it because I've Mod Podged it. It might be too slick of a surface for it to stick to, but it seems to be holding its own. I'm going to just pull these petals back as I continue to ink around the edges. And again to my corner, and I'm going to come in. Quite often I even try to make it a little bit darker than the rest of it. Oopsie. Pull my petals back again. And I just want to make this one just a little bit darker there as this one. There we go. Alrighty, there. Now doesn't that just finish that card off? It almost gives it a little bit of a halo effect, and yeah. And you can use any ink pad. It doesn't have to be Distress. You can use your StazOn, you can use your Archival, your whatever. It honestly doesn't make any difference at the end of the day when you're just going to be doing these edges. And if you don't want that crisp of an edge like that, or that thick of an edge, just take your stamp pad and even just go over the edge like that. I'll just, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to grab a different card, and I'm just going to show you here. So let's just say, for instance, this was the edge of my card. You can even just go right with your ink pad, and you're still going to get, I don't even know if you can see that. Let me see if I can zoom. Oh yeah, you can. You're going to get a very nice narrow edge. You don't have to do the corners. Even with the ink pad, you can come in and get the corners a little bit more. As you come in, it's just going to curl that corner over, and you can just build it up. So there you go. I mean, you don't have to even use, just go straight from your ink pad, and you're still going to get an edge. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was doing the funky. There you go. You can still do an edge even just with the stamp pad. You don't even have to have anything else. I just prefer on most of my stuff to have a little bit of a bolder edge, if you want to call it that. So there. Stick a sentiment down there. When I do my sentiments on this kind of a background, I will do it on a different piece of cardstock and then adhere it to the page. I'll either glue it directly down to the page, or I will use my pop dots. Go to the dollar, sorry, my camera only records for so many minutes. Go to the dollar store, get a roll of foam tape that you would use to fill in the gaps around your door. It comes in a roll. You cut a piece off. There you go. You don't have to go and buy pop dots, right? Anyways, so there you go. Flower card, just like that, with not a lot of supplies. Thank you very much for coming along. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. As usual, I'm coming back. I decided I'm going to just add some more detail to this card, I guess. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking my black, and I've got a Permaball Pilot pen. I don't even know if you can get these in the US anymore, but this is what I use. I mean, I've got other pens that work as well, and all I'm doing right now is simply going around the little red dots and circling them. And I'm not being careful, I'm not being precise. I'm just going around them right now. And you can just see how that just makes them pop a little bit more from that page. It's a very muted page, which is fine, but I just decided that I wanted a little bit more detail. So that's all I'm doing, is just going around some of those elements. Now, if you wanted to, you can also take your pen and just do a bit of a doodle on the inside of that. So all I'm doing is just coming in and making a little bit of a swirl. And I'm not going to do it to all of them. Just a couple of them. Adds a little bit more of a pop. Now I'm going to just see if I'm going to see if this white pen will show around. Not really. Not giving me the pop I really, well, I guess maybe. If I kind of come onto the inside of the black, it'll give me that pop I'm looking for. There's not a lot of black that I need to go around. Now with these Signal pens, that's what this is. And I just get them from Amazon. My girlfriend Karen Birchall, who's Creative Katie on YouTube, found them on Amazon for a really good price. So she got us a little bag of them. I think there was 5 or 6 in a bag for, I can't remember how much, but yep, that works too. Now, keep in mind though that the Signal pen is not permanent. It can be wiped off. So if you ever do put something on a page you don't like it, you can remove it. Just gonna maybe do a little bit of doodling inside some of these. Again, nothing perfect or anything like that. I don't want to have to stress about whether it's working or not. Sorry, I went off frame a little bit, but you can see the white doodles I have there. Not sure I like the white doodles, to be honest with you, on this card. I think I liked it better without. So I'm actually going to take, and that actually sometimes is, I'm using the word actually a lot today. The nice thing about the Signal pen sometimes, with it not being permanent, is that you can just come in here and wipe it right out of there. Check it out. And the little doodles are gone. There. I like that better. I'll wait for that to dry a bit before I come back in. But anyways, I just wanted to show you that something as simple as that can just add those final little touches to the card as well, right? Anyway, now I'm gone. Thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And then you'll get the notification for my next card in the series. Bye-bye.